So throughout this presentation, I will be explaining my artist book pages as inspired by a human document turned into a human by Tom Phillips. My artist book is called The Self and Love to reflect the words and the images that I had created and included. So this first page of my artist book is one of my favorites for both the words and the design of the page itself. It reads, "I am sorry to be a woman. I beg and I work. Master told her don't trust me. I'm sorry to be a woman." So the layout of this excerpt is very versatile and can be read top to bottom or bottom to top and still make sense. The visual narrative that this image creates straightforwardly is of a woman's bare body on a colorful background, which to me emulates space or the perceived colors that one associates with a galaxy. I blocked out the title, which will be coming up here in a second, to read the narrative of her. Here it is. So I blocked it out to read the narrative of her, which is completely fitting to the words and the images because it essentially narrates the story of an oppressed woman who feels the need to apologize for who she is, which we can still see present in today's society. This woman can represent each of us as modern cyborgs and for being sorry for our insecurities and who we are. So this next page reflects a mind-body realization of one's whole self. It reads, "I came back a changed man. My heart had gone out to fly. I came back to myself. I had not ceased to feel. I had only learned to bear it. My heart goes back to the old love. It's hard to think of her. I felt my return after an absence of months. I saw something which told me there is more than love." So one of my favorite lines is, "I had not ceased to feel. I had only learned to bear it," which is up here in this little cloud. And I think that's because it's a line that really hits someone deep. Saying they did not stop feeling, but they just learned to deal with it, is creating an almost emotionally distant or cold, depressed person. The subject of this poem has these thoughts that create who they are as a whole in that mind-body sense of not having the distinction between mind over matter, in a sense. The subject is just speaking with their whole being. So the third page in my artist book is probably one of my favorites for the content. It reads, "He went asking me if I liked him yet. I had never spoke a word about it. With light hair and blue eyes he was talking, rambling, with a mouthful of questions. He must not ask questions and I might have the heart to say he was a stranger." And it's the chilling, almost love story of a man who seems to have feelings for the subject, where he could believe there was an emotional connection there, but the subject not feeling that connection and seemingly wanting him just as a person in his or her life. Saying he must not ask questions implies that the subject would accept this person into their life, but once the he of the poem starts asking questions about the subject's feelings is when the subject must admit the truth that there are none there. However, the subjectivity to the interpretation of this poem does go back to one's own relationship with how they have experienced love and emotions. So this next page we have here says, "Death of my love, my heart. Silence has fallen. Heaven stopped. Over the hills I saw change looking at me." So this one paints quite an interesting visual narrative, which is again up to the reader's subjectivity. The narrative I interpret here is one of self-realization and acknowledgement. It's about accepting change. The rusty, dark-looking drawing represents stairs, taking someone from the bottom to top and from one point to another. This poem paints change with personification rather than being something that's felt. It says, "I saw change looking at me." It gives change the image of being a thing rather than a feeling, which it is. Change can alter the scale, pace, or pattern of one's life and make it different than it once was, for better or for worse. So this fifth image has some of my favorite visuals. I love the ethereal look of the blues that represent the openness of the sky. The words on the page read, "Shall I think of us in all things I saw? I cry," and he put his hand on her heart. "Yes," she whispers to herself. So the imagery is fairly simple. It creates a smooth, picturesque background reminiscent of the sky with close-up image from the hands in the painting, the creation of Adam. However, unlike a few of the other poems included in here, this specific one is more about convergence of two people rather than divergence, which also hints at the use of the imagery from the creation of Adam, because there are two people converging, just as it is believed happened during the creation of Adam, but obviously here it's for different reasons that mainly have to do with love and emotions. So next we have the final image that I created for my artist book, and it reads, "You have something to tell me, my heart is heavy. I had no love, no tears, my heart longed of death. Let me go." So yet again, this poem produces another, that somber, disheartening environment of being or feeling hopeless. The images are quite simple here. It's only pink and red paint for the main background, which has the perceived notion to represent love or anything to do with love-filled emotions. And the images and words create an almost contradictory balance, where the subject is upset from losing love and their heart longed for death. So that red and pink almost represent a love that is not there. Rather than painting the page black or a bleak color, it was painted with what the subject is missing, which is the love here, and that creates rather a puzzle piece outcome. Oops, hit the button by accident. But so with that, my short artist book is finished. My favorite method of treating the pages was with watercolor because of how beautiful the blending of the colors together were, and I genuinely enjoyed the process of creating this art, and I'm actually proud of what I came up with.